What's really good, my people? Welcome into No Catch Up Sports Talk via Chicago. I am your host, Sean Little. Big Nick the Quick with me as always. We're on a Wednesday morning. We got a little busy yesterday, but we're here now. We got a lot to talk about. NBA power rankings. We're going to talk about who are the top 5 teams in the league. We'll go through a couple of other big dogs. Of course, you know them, but we'll break them down a little bit. And the Bulls had a little bit of a situation that they were dealing with internally. There was a really interesting article dropped by Shams and our guy Darnell Mayberry at The Athletic, giving us a little inside peek on the Bulls locker room situation. Zach LaVine and a couple other players got into it at half of the Timberwolves game, ended up giving up 150. We'll break that situation down. What do the Bulls do next? And are the New York Knickerbockers serious? They've now won 8 in a row. They have the Raptors tonight. They have the Bulls again on Friday, who they beat on a combined 15.5 points per game in the last 2 meetings. Are they serious? They just blew out the Warriors. We'll get to that. Then we'll move over to the NFL. Let's talk about the NFL awards market. Jalen Hurts potentially will still play against the Cowboys on Sunday, but the MVP odds completely flipped. We'll talk about the awards market, DPOY, Micah Parsons versus Bosa. We'll talk about a couple different things and the latest that's going on in the NFL. Stay with us. This is No Catch Up on a Wednesday. Let's get to it.
Now look at Mossy. Really? Oh, so that's how you're going to play it. You going to do this? Okay, fine. That's all I needed. That's all I needed for him to do that. And it became personal with me.
Big Nick the Quick, what's good?
How we feeling?
You already know, man. How are you?
Dog, I'm great. I'm trying to figure out how I can start playing baseball so I can get this Carlos Correa money.
Hey, man, it must be nice to have an owner that just is willing to win.
He doesn't care.
No, by any means necessary, dog. That's what you need.
And like they were pretty much wrapped up for the offseason. Then he saw the chance to get him, and he just like, all right, yeah, fuck it. I'll go a quick 315.
That's what. Oh, that's it.
That's it. Oh, that's all you guys need.
Over 12.
Yeah, whatever.
Man, that's gonna be cheap. Come 5-6 years from now, like, yeah, man. Cohen is willing to do whatever it takes to get the Mets in contention and be the marquee franchise in New York. It's blatantly obvious.
And, he came in like that, too. I think it was like, when I first heard, like, oh, he's a fan, he's going to spend money. I'm like, yeah, whatever. These dudes all get in there. And then when it comes time to write that check, it's a different story. He is 1,000% kept to his word on that. So, yeah, shout out to him, man. I hope the Mets make some noise. And shout out to Correa for betting on himself. Took the short deal with the Twins last year. Yeah. Opted out, got $35 million from them. Opted out, picked up $315 this winter for a total of $350 million over 13 years. I can't be mad at it at all.
Be.
How could you?
How could you?
How could you hate?
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's jump into it. I got a solid hour, and then we'll get out of here. Let's jump right into the NBA. It's been pretty crazy back and forth right now. The Knicks are on the 8-game win streak. The Bulls are in shambles. We'll get to them, but let's talk about a few of the best teams in the league. We know them all, right? We got the Boston Celtics, who've lost 4 or 5, lost 2 in a row to the Magic, but they're at home against the Pacers tonight, looking to bounce back. Jason Tatum bounced back off of a personal missed game. He had personal reasons that he missed. But top 5, you could go Pelicans, you could go Cavs, Bucks. The Nets have been playing really well. The Grizz. We know about Boston. Let's talk a little bit about some of these the top teams in the league. Give me your 5th best team in the league. We'll go there and we can just jump around.
Man, I think right now,
and this is really hard. Fluid list, right? We're just going to talk about a couple of the top teams in the league and why we think they're up there.
Yeah, I think the 5th best team in the right now is the Brooklyn Nets. Quietly, like again, we talked about it last week. They turned down all the noise on. You don't want to talk about noisy 3 years, just nothing but noise, nothing but distraction, nothing but story after story, and not a whole lot of positive things on the basketball court either. Since Kyrie's come back, this team has been on fire. They've won 9 of 10. I know it goes a little bit further than that, but they've won 9 of 10. They're playing good ball. KD and Kyrie are clicking. And you're not hearing anything about the situation. Like they're just going in, night out, playing good basketball, going about their business. And this is a team that, look, when you look at it on paper, obviously, if everything clicks, it could be dangerous. I think the reason we were so down on them for so long is that it didn't click on the court necessarily, and it clearly wasn't clicking off the court. So I think now that these guys are playing together, Jock Vaughn deserves all the praise. For some reason, I'm not hearing the name Jock Vaughn every single day in Twitter, on the media, on TV. I don't understand why. Steve Nash gets fired and this team turns completely around. So give Jock Vaughn his flowers. He has these boys playing, and again, quiet in the noise. That comes from the coach as well. So yeah, I got the Nets.
12-3 since Kyrie came back. Kevin Durant is scoring at a Kevin Durant level. We could just say it. We could just say it like that. Kevin Durant is still extremely dangerous, maybe the best scorer in the NBA right now today. Simmons is making a little bit of an impact as well.
Doing his thing quiet.
So quietly they are. Well, that was always the thing, right? If we could just get to playing ball, the Nets could probably make some noise. Like if we weren't always talking about everything else with the Nets, they could probably make some noise. So
I wouldn't want to play them right now.
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, they do 6 in a row, 10 of the last 11. Durant scored 23 points in like 9 minutes the other day in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
I read something earlier this week too. Kyrie Irving is averaging 1.1 blocks a game.
he's upset.
Kyrie Irving is playing a little D now too. That was always going to be the issue. So if those guys are going to get rolling, that could be a spooky sight.
Hey, give credit to my boy Jock, man. Hold on, see you doing it too.
Oh no!
Come on, Blackhead.
I didn't know we had to double dip on it. Jock Vaughn somehow got these dudes to come in and play defense.
Right. No interest in doing that.
Yeah, they had no interest in doing that.
Yeah.
Claxton's been playing really well as well. Watanabe is a blessing.
Dog, this guy. Yeah. We talk about guys who are always doing things. You watch Watanabe for his 15 minutes a game. He's just out there doing stuff.
Me and Nick the Quick were texting yesterday, and we were talking about a couple guys in the league, and we were talking about Kessler out in Utah. And what we settled on was he just does things.
Yeah,
he's not a crazy frame. He's a skinny white dude rookie.
Plays his ass off.
Plays his ass off. Hustles. Long, not afraid to get dunked on. He just impacts the game. Yep. He does things. From now on, when we come across a guy that's not highly touted, doesn't get a lot of love, hey, man, but when I see him, he does things.
Just out there doing things.
He's doing things. He's impacting the game some way, somehow.
Yeah, one way or another, he's out there impacting the basketball game for sure.
Yeah, so I'm going to go – this might be a little too high, but – I'm going to go the New Orleans Pelicans at number 5. I'm very impressed with the squad. Zion is fully healthy, looks really good, is playing a lot of minutes as well. He's closing games, doesn't look tired when he's closing games. I'm a big fan of this Pelicans team. I know they've lost 4 straight. They went to Utah and got beat up twice, which shouldn't have happened, but it did. The only thing I worry about is the 3-point shooting at a long clip for the rest of the season. Trey Murphy III is shooting the ball really well, but they don't have a lot of firepower from behind the arc. That's something I worry about a little bit. But I really like this team overall. Jonas Valanciunas is that's my I want to say that's my favorite player in the NBA, but I'm not going to go that far.
He's like he used to be with Vucevic before he got traded to the Bulls.
Yeah, Jonas Valanciunas the other night had 37-18 on 7 of 10 from 3, and he doesn't get a lot of opportunities, but when he gets opportunities, he goes crazy. I really love their edge, how they play. Alvarado, they play defense, super physical basketball team, and then they have a little bit of that veteran leadership with CJ, who can also shoot it and fill it up. I think it's a really interesting team. I think they're in a little bit of a lull right now, but I think they're a top 5 team in the NBA.
Yeah, and they're also crazy deep. That's another thing I like, which I know once you get to the playoffs doesn't necessarily matter as much as you tend to tighten up those rotations. But in a regular season game, they're legitimately playing 10 guys. And they seem to have these random wings that they can throw out there that just create havoc, whether it's a Herb Jones. Who's my other guy out there? I'm blanking on his name right now. Always hitting threes. Causing problems, but they got a few guys like
Herb
that.
Jones, Trey Murphy.
Yeah, Trey Murphy's out here hooping. The only issue I could have with them is obviously there's a consistency thing. They got up to first in the West and then dropped 4 straight. The other issue that I have with them is if you slow them down, they don't really have a point guard that's operating out of the half court like that. So better teams might be able to slow them down. And if they're flying up and down the court, forget about it because you just can't run with them. They got too many different things they can do. And they're still, correct me if I'm wrong, they're still waiting for Ingram to get back, right?
Yeah, BI is still on the get back.
So that might help them with that particular issue because he can kind of create his own shot out in the half court. But that would be the couple things that would concern me about them is, again, if you slow them down, they tend to have some issues and they're just a little bit inconsistent. But look, man, yeah, I can't argue with that. That team is flying right now. We talked about it. Zion's MVP candidate at this point. So
yeah. Okay, give me your number 4 power rankings.
Yeah,
Fluid list.
Yeah,
Fluid list. Don't tweet us.
Yeah. Number 4 for me is gonna be the Memphis Grizzlies.
That's my number 4 too. Talk to
Solid.
me.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Ja's been in and out of the rotation, but you know what the Memphis Grizzlies are going to bring. They're going to play hard every night. When we talk about teams that have over the last couple of years kind of gotten that playoff experience, they're ready to go to that next level. I really like the squad. Extremely well coached by Taylor Jenkins, who I'm still surprised is a white guy with that name. Shout out Taylor Jenkins.
The best beard in the NBA.
Yeah.
His beard is impeccable. Every time I see him on the sideline, his beard stays lined up. Shout out TJ, man.
Yeah, shout out Taylor Jenkins, man. So yeah, again, like that squad. Obviously got a superstar in Ja, got great support players, and this could be the year I think that they kind of go to that next level. So I'm going with Memphis there. I think the only issue is the Ja in and out situation.
What do you mean?
As far as just injuries, you got to keep Ja healthy.
Yeah, of course.
The way he plays, he's always just one drive away from something catastrophic. So I always worry about that with him. And obviously he's had some injury issues over the last couple of years. So
yeah, I really like. So I was gonna go either Memphis or Denver in the 4th spot because I really like Denver and how they've been playing. But I agree with you with Memphis. It's actually really interesting because when Ja doesn't play, they really focus on D and they play a lot of really
they play well.
Yeah. Because they have Tyus Jones. So Ja goes down. They bring in Tyus Jones, who's one of probably the better backup point guards in the NBA.
Definitely a does things guy.
Yeah,
Tyus
and then
Jones.
definitely a does things guy. And then they focus on playing defense.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. So if Ja's not going to run around and get us 30, we're going to have to tighten up the belt here. So they come out, focus on defense, run up and down the floor. And Jaren Jackson, man, he's been playing really well. If he could get to where it looks like he's trying to get offensively and that style of game, and then he can protect the rim and run the floor like he does, it could be really, 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 really tough. They are developing the guys that they draft really, really well. They drafted Bane. They drafted Jaren Jackson. They drafted Morant. They went and got Tyus. So I like what they're doing. And this is one of those things we always talk about, that we always talk about, Nick, is they kind of got the taste last year, right, of trying to go after that like number 1, number 2 seed in the West. And they're right back at it. Like, okay.
Yep, that's what I was saying. This could be the year.
We tasted it a little bit last year. We know we can compete. A lot of people think that they still need to be a little more humble with how they rock. What do you think about that?
No, man, I'm sick of hearing stuff like that. Like, this is a young, brash team, and that's kind of the identity that they feed off of, and that starts with Ja, and that's the type of guy that Ja is, right? He's very, like, in your face, just that's just kind of how they play. I don't think they're disrespectful. Like, there's a line between being, like, competitive and being fired up and, like, kind of happy for yourselves and showing up the other team and doing stuff that could be conceived as disrespectful, especially when you haven't won anything. For them, I think that that's just how they play, man. They're fired up. They're happy for each other. That's what you want from your team. Here's the thing, man. When you have the exact opposite of that, you're getting killed. Oh, this team isn't together. Nobody's standing up on the bench. Then the body language doctors start coming out like, oh, well, this, they're sunk in his shoulders. So what do you want? Do you want them to be super fired up, or you want them to be boring? You know what I mean? Like the best teams have that type of chemistry where they're really doing it for each other. So yeah, man, I got no problem with them. I don't think that they're doing anything crazy. I got no problem with the dancing and all that. Look, it's 2022, about to be 23. If you still got an issue with these things, man, this world isn't for you.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, give me your number 3.
Yeah, number 3, I'm going to have to go with the Denver Nuggets. Solidly in at number 3. Look, man, They're back healthy. You got Murray back. Jokic is obviously playing at an MVP level. Yeah, I like this team. I got no issues with them. What can you say about Denver that we haven't been saying for the last couple of years? And I don't mean that in like a Utah Jazz way. Like, remember after a couple of years of the Jazz, you were kind of just sick of it. But with Denver, this is just kind of where I'm at. Like, I think it's a really good team. And I think if they stay healthy, they're the best team in the Western Conference.
AG has been a major impact for them.
Finally.
That was a big get for them a couple years back. So, yeah. And of course, we know what Joker's been doing. The dude is ridiculous. Listen to his last 5 games. 33, 10, and 9, 31, 12, and 14, 43, 14, and 8, 25, 11, and 8, 40, 27, and 10.
Yeah.
So, and that's not including the game last night. So, yeah.
This is all while Murray's still playing himself back into shape.
No question. It's just what he does. He's just, yeah, they continue to what gives you pause about them though? Because this is essentially the same team we saw last year, right? What's different? Because Jokic is playing at MVP level. Murray is still making his way back. We did miss Murray last year. Anything that gives you pause about these guys?
Because it's kind of just a team that's built on a house of cards as far as the injuries are concerned. I mean, you get you're one Murray injury away from being where you found yourself last year, which is Jokic had to do everything, right? Porter Jr. is out again. So I mean, those are 2 huge injuries for you, especially when you need those scorers come playoff time. That was their issue last year. You remember in the bubble, Murray versus Mitchell, like Murray was kind of that guy that would go out and have those monster games for you as far as scoring. So I'm just nervous, but he's played 25 or 30 games this year. He's obviously been healthy. He's working his way back in. So nothing really gives me pause outside of injury. That's actually all that gives me pause about the Denver Nuggets. I think offensively, when they're humming, they're so potent. There's nothing you can do. They're not quite Boston level, but yeah. I think that they're the second best offense in the NBA when they're humming. Because
they got Bones Highland out there too.
Yeah, shout out Bones.
Bones is doing his thing.
Shooter.
Yeah, no, shooter is right. I want to go back just really quick. I think that Porter
Bones can't be your second best scorer in a playoff series. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
yes,
that's what makes me nervous about Denver, because once you get past Murray, you do start relying on guys whose job isn't necessarily to fill it up like that.
Like Aaron Gordon. He's not trying to fill it up.
He's at his best when he's doing other things.
But
he's at his best when he's doing other things.
Exactly right. The Michael Porter Jr. situation is very interesting because we can go all the way back on this pod. We've been running for 5+ years now, by the way. So the tape is very plentiful. The whole back situation, Big Nick the Quick is big on this. He's not messing with anybody that has back issues.
Nope.
4 years ago, we were talking about who we would take. Would it be Michael Porter Jr.? The back issues were an issue then, and they've still come up year in and year out. They give him a new deal. He's still dealing with the back. So that concerns me. I almost don't even want to put Michael Porter Jr. in the fold when we're talking about what they're going to be doing down the road.
For sure. And I don't want to misquote it, but if you look at it, it's kind of sad. Like, his family history, it's not just him. I think that his sister was a college basketball player. She blew the same ACL 3 times. His brother was a college basketball player, popped out both of his knees. And then there's another sibling that had an ACL injury. Porter Jr. has had knee and back injuries. It's just his body can't hold up, and they gave him that big ass deal. I like Michael Porter Jr. He's potent.
When he's healthy,
dude, score. Boy can shoot.
Up, bucket,
6'10", buckets, like everything. But it's just, again, man, he's not healthy, and he seems to always be out of the lineup. So that's my biggest pause for them. I like.
Yeah, I was interchanging, Denver, Memphis. So I got Denver at 6. My number 3 is going to be the Brooklyn Nets for all the reasons we talked about. If this, for example. If we flip this, and make it, well, hold on. Did I leave the Cavs out? Have I said the Cavs yet?
You've not. I got the Cavs out though. I don't have them in top 5.
Oh, well, okay.
Go ahead.
Then it gets really tight on like 4, 5, 6 for me because I love the Cavs
for sure.
And actually, I'm gonna put the Cavs at number 3. Excuse me. I apologize. We'll go back. But I do love the Nets. Let me finish my thing on the Nets. If this was flipped and they started the season really well.
So then you don't have the Nets in your top 5.
So 5. 5, I have the Pels.
You have the Pels, the Grizzlies. and then 3
I
for you
Pels,
is the Cavs.
So
And
Nets are
unless you're
not
telling
my
me you got
top.
the Nets above the obvious top
Nets
two.
No,
Right.
Nets are 6. Nets are
Okay.
6. Nets are
Fair
6.
enough.
So
That's fair.
Nets are 6. 5 is the Pels. I have 4 Memphis. I have 3 Cleveland.
Okay.
But really quick on the Nets. If this was flipped and they started the season like they're playing right now and then went in a little bit of a lull in the middle, this wouldn't even be a question if they're a top 3, top 4 team. I think the fact that the beginning of the season started so poorly and there were so many questions and the whole Kyrie thing and the Nash getting fired and those guys starting slow. I think this is in a month, if we come back and do this, they're going to be top 3. So I like what the Nets are doing right now coming on. But number 3 for me is going to be the Cleveland Cavaliers. This is how I would construct a roster in the NBA. Like, I think that's why I really like these guys. Similar to how I like the Pelicans. They're sturdy, beyond sturdy in the middle.
Very
versatile. Allen actually. So if you watch a lot of the NBA, there's a lot of screening happening, but not a lot of rolling. People are running pick and roll, but a lot of guys aren't rolling. You understand what I'm saying?
Not Jared Allen.
Yes, Jared Allen is screening, and he's looking for lobs. He's rolling. He's getting to the basket. He's involved on offense, and then he's one of the best defenders in the league in the interior. Then we talk about Evan Mobley down low. He's so versatile, can score, can move his feet really well, plays defense. And then they have a guy running the show, and then they have a pure, absolute scorer in Donovan Mitchell. To the point where sometimes it gets a little out of hand. Like, hey, pipe down a little bit. Him and Jordan Poole, these guys get it up. But I really like how the Cleveland Cavaliers are structured. They're number 1 in defense. The pace is slow, but they have guys that could score in the half court. Like, for example, Dallas is a team that's slow. Pace is slow. But when they get in the half court, they essentially have one guy that can score. It's not that way for me for Cleveland. They get in the half court. Garland can score. He can run screen and roll with Allen, who will roll to the basket. Donovan Mitchell obviously can score in the half court. So I really like Cleveland. I like how they're constructed. That's number 3 for me in the power rankings, Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah, so Cleveland is 6 for me for sure. I don't have a ton of issues with them. I love what you said about Jared Allen. I think that because a lot of bigs don't play like that, he catches a lot of people off guard. And there's just certain games where Jared Allen is actually out there just bullying folks.
Bro, he'll be like 9 of 10 with 18, and it's like 8 dunks and a layup.
Yeah, very calm demeanor, but I love how he plays. I love the mixture of Mobley and Allen. I think Mobley and Allen is ultimately what Minnesota wants Towns and Gobert to look like, right? 2 bigs that don't get in each other's way, that kind of play off each other. Because again, Jared Allen has no interest in stepping out and shooting anything, right? So Mobley, you can have that whole area, and Mobley isn't necessarily trying to operate in the paint to that extent. So he's like, hey, Jared Allen, you can have that whole area. And they just play really well together. Their roster is constructed beautifully. The Mitchell trade, listen, and I think I might have tweeted this or just put it out there the other day. The Mitchell trade for both sides, I don't know if we've ever seen a deal that has worked out as well for both sides as the Donovan Mitchell trade has, right? I think he had to get out of Utah. We knew that. We've talked about that several times. He got out of Utah, and they got back a pretty good haul for him. And they also have 15 first-round picks from the Minnesota Timberwolves, so they're set up pretty well. But as far as Cleveland goes, yeah, the only issue that I have with them is consistency. Right now, they're on a 4-game winning streak, but they are the type of team that'll win 4 straight and then lose 4 straight. And teams like that just kind of always give me hesitation. That's like Philly. Like Philly will win 8 straight and then lose 6 games that they shouldn't lose.
Yeah.
So I kind of have them in that same boat with Philly, whereas like, yeah, I mean, obviously if they're humming, you can't beat this squad. But they also have nights where they're going to score 88 points against the Raptors. So, which happens.
Yeah,
Again, young team still learning to figure it out. And the other thing with them is sometimes, and you kind of hinted at this with Mitchell, sometimes late game, the Mitchell Garland thing, they're still kind of figuring it out. I think the answer is Mitchell, right? But I think, you know, they still just need to figure out who's the top dog there. And obviously it's looking more and more like Mitchell. But yeah, I got no problem with that at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're also really constructed well for the playoffs.
I don't think they're better than the Denver Nuggets, though. I think you're wild on that one.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. We're gonna find out.
But they are built very well for the playoffs.
I would love to see a 7-game of Jokic versus Allen and Mobley and dealing with those boys down low.
The wild card for them is Karis LeVert. If you're getting good LeVert, it's a major bonus. If you're getting bad LeVert, he cannot play because he's talking about a guy who likes to get it up.
Yeah. All right. So we both have the same top two. I don't know if they're in the same order, but give me your number 2.
Boston Celtics.
Talk to me.
Yeah. You can go 2-1, 2-1, flip. Obviously they started off the season at a pace, offensively especially, that was historical. They've come back down to earth a little bit since then. Had a bad loss the other night to
they lost 2 in a row to the Magic.
Yeah. Paolo Banchero dropped 34 on them. It happens. Look, you can't play 82 games at an extremely high level, but I think this team, based on where I thought they were going to be at the beginning of the season, again, I thought that Udoka stuff was going to be a big issue for them. They really got over that. Shout out our guy Joe Mazzulla, the crew neck god. My man's got the crew neck and a Cuban link every game. I fucks with him heavy, bro. Like super heavy, bro. I fucks with Joe Mazzulla. Shout out Joe. Team's just humming right now. I just don't think that they're better than my number 1 team, but the team is absolutely humming right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go number 2, Milwaukee Bucks. Okay. I'm a big Giannis guy. There's not very many guys in the NBA that bring it on a night-to-night basis like this dude, man. It's actually really impressive. On a night-to-night, no matter where it's at, Tuesday night in Charlotte, he's showing up trying to get 35, 14, and 6.
Yeah.
So that's one thing you can always count on, especially when I'm looking at props and what I should play.
He's not going to mail it in.
I just know he's not going to mail it in. It just doesn't happen.
If he doesn't hit, it's because of something else, but it's not because
he didn't get the minutes or whatever, or someone was cooking. But man, he's always going to give the effort. So I love what they're doing. I still think that Lopez, they've been playing really well. You know where I'm at on Chris Middleton. He worries me a little bit, and I start to look at like the NBA power rankings right now in the middle of the season. You can kind of shrug at, because when we're getting to the playoffs, the reason I have them at 2 is because in the 7-game series right now, I'm taking Boston. So that's why I have Boston at number 1. Purely off the fact that Time Lord is now back. He's going to get more in the fold. They are better offensively than they were last year. They're in a little bit of a lull right now, but they will bounce back. We know about Brogdon coming in the fold, how much I love that move. Grant Williams is shooting the ball. I've never seen a guy get so many fucking open looks in the history of the NBA. I haven't seen Grant Williams take a shot with anyone within 5 feet of him in 2 years.
Years. Listen, I tweeted this out the other day. Perpetually open. He's open all the time. Open to the point where I've watched Grant Williams get the ball in front of the 3-point line a few steps, turn around, walk back, and shoot threes, and no one even comes over to guard him. He's just open.
He's always just open.
They just don't guard him, and I get it. There's a lot of other guys you want to guard.
They just don't. There's too many guys to guard.
But to his credit, he's not the first player to have been in that situation where, like, I play with crazy great offensive players, so I'm just open. But a lot of guys don't consistently hit those. Consistently hits those.
Mans consistently knocks him down.
Yeah, he does his job.
Another guy that's a perfect example of this is another guy that perpetually, especially when other guys are cruising, gets open looks. Tobias Harris.
He doesn't
like this fucking guy should score 25 on 14 shots a night.
Yeah,
like it's just completely efficient, and he doesn't. So
if you swap Tobias Harris with a high level 3-point shooter, like that would fix so many problems with Philly. Like you just need someone who's a threat from out there. You don't need Tobias Harris. You just need someone who's a threat from out there, and it would change so much for them.
Man, he gets a lot of open looks.
Bad spot on their roster.
Yeah,
but open looks all the time.
He's okay, but he could be, man. That's the guy that you look for that could take them over the top, and just hasn't happened. It's not going to happen because it hasn't happened in the last
We've been talking about
5 seasons or whatever.
Small and big spots for a long time. So
yeah, no question.
Replace him with a knockdown shooter. You're good to go.
Yeah, I agree.
Crowder.
All right, let's move over to that's the power rankings currently in the NBA.
Well, let me give you why I have Milwaukee number 1.
Oh yeah, my fault. Yeah.
So I got Milwaukee number 1. I think you made a great point on the Time Lord thing. One of the things that was holding me back about Boston is I couldn't watch any more games watching Luke Cornett get 25 minutes a game. Like they just had, between Cornette, Horford, and Blake. You had Blake at one point when Horford was out. You had Griffin and Cornette splitting the center minutes, and that's just not a recipe for success. So obviously, with Time Lord back, if he stays healthy, that's huge for them. I just think the Milwaukee thing, man. Look, Middleton's played in 7 games this year. He's looked terrible, but he's working his way back. So, like you said, right now in a 7-game series, absolutely, I'm taking Boston, but I don't know if I'm going to feel that way by the end of the year. And still, while all this is happening, Milwaukee is still winning games. Just beat Memphis the other night. So yeah, I'm riding with Milwaukee.
Yeah, they just beat the Jazz by 26 without Giannis the other night.
Without Giannis, yeah. So I'm riding with Milwaukee on that. But again, it's they're neck and neck. I don't see anybody else, as much as we love some of these other Eastern Conference teams.
Yeah,
maybe Brooklyn. So that's why I kind of like your Brooklyn. Maybe Brooklyn can make some noise in that, but I really just don't see another team challenging them in that Eastern Conference right now. It's going to be
who's the second best team, or who's the second best player on the Bucks?
Middleton when he's healthy. Right now, Lopez. Lopez Defensive Player of the Year.
You got what?
Yo, listen, bro. You might not like him.
We're not doing this right now.
A healthy Chris Middleton's a good player, dude.
He's a good player. He's third best player on the team.
You think it's Holiday or Brook Lopez?
I mean,
Grayson Allen?
Wait, what are we talking?
Hey, they need to go out and get Crowder.
That would be a good pickup for them.
Bring him
Crowder
home to
would be a great pickup for them.
Bring him back home to Milwaukee. He's a Marquette.
J. Rue, Drew Holiday's second best player on that team.
Fine, that's whatever.
Forget it.
When Giannis is your number one, it's almost Giannis is such a strength as a number one. Like we talk about, like is that guy at number one? Giannis is such a bona fide one. It's anarchy over there by Sean again. But Giannis is such a bona fide number one that some of these other guys, like it is, you can have it too, like Middleton. What's going on out there, bro?
Man, New York, man.
Fucking New York undercover in this motherfucker. Goddamn.
NYPD Blue in this bitch.
Isn't it lunchtime out there? Goddamn. Y'all need to slow down out there, man. On Bleecker Street.
That's funny, man. All right, let's move over to the Bulls. They get a big W last night. They needed a big W last night. In Miami, got it done. Miami had a ton of injuries, though.
Yeah.
No one was playing, and the Bulls took care of business. If they weren't going to win that game, they weren't going to win again the rest of the year.
Yeah. I thought really hard about fading the Bulls last night, but I also could see a scenario in which what happened last night happened. So I stayed away from it.
Exactly. So interesting game coming up here against the Knicks at the Garden. They've lost 2 in a row to them. They've gotten blown out twice.
Yeah.
So that's going to be an interesting game. Knicks rolling. But talk to me about the overall situation. You read the Mayberry Shams Athletic article. What do you think? What do you think about the overall situation? I know we could talk about this for 45 minutes, but let's try to give a good 10, 12 on it.
So first off, number one, we knew this was incoming, right? You could tell just by watching this team, and this is the type of shit that happens when a team has expectations and it falls extremely short, like the Chicago Bulls have. And make no mistake about it, the Chicago Bulls have fallen short of expectations. We weren't coming into the season saying this was going to be the 4th seed, but we thought we'd be in that 7th, 8th play-in type territory. Obviously, we're not even close to that.
We didn't. We were thinking like 5, 6.
Yeah. A competitive, fun team. Maybe not as fun as last year, but hey, like there's enough talent to where they can do some things with or without Lonzo, who all of a sudden has become Jesus. Apparently, like Lonzo can turn water into wine with the Chicago Bulls. So then you go up 150 in regulation to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And you could just hear from some of the comments post-game, whether it was from Donovan or Goran Dragic went off for a few minutes talking about we need to play together. You just knew that this thing was kind of coming off the rails. And then the story drops yesterday with Mayberry and Shams about how pretty much there's a Zach LaVine issue going on in the building, right? Zach has not personal things. And again, I don't think Zach's a bad guy. Seems like a great guy, but obviously on the floor, there's just some issues with players thinking that Zach is selfish, that Zach's not playing for the team. Remember what I told you about several team meetings? Anytime you have to have more than one meeting about the same thing, we have a major issue. And it came out that they have several team meetings about this issue. Obviously, things aren't getting fixed. And it just seems like it's just a bad situation. Then you hear that he's not seeing eye to eye with the Bulls as an organization. And then you hear the issues with Billy Donovan in the roster. So after that, a couple hours later, Joe Cowley tweets that there was a blow-up at halftime of that Timberwolves loss. And then they had another blow-up post-game of that Timberwolves loss in which several players confronted Levine about his selfish play and just generally how he plays. So, look, man, it's not a good situation. Obviously, there's a lot of leaks coming from the Chicago Bulls. A lot of people are trying to get some stuff off their chest. And I don't think any of us are surprised that this happened. I think we watched the team. Shout out our guy Eder. He's been on this for a long time. That just Zach looks like a terrible guy to play with, and he kind of just gets in the way and doesn't accept the role that he needs to be. So, look, man, yeah, it's out there now. I don't really know where they go from here because they're just so bad on the floor that I can't see them turning it around. I don't know. I know I kind of went on for a minute on that, but
no. It was all good. Yeah, I think Billy Donovan has been skating by through this whole fucking situation for far too long.
Oh, and it came out that he got a contract extension. What is with the Bulls and giving coaches contract extensions?
Chicago
in the middle of their contract for no fucking reason.
GMs just giving people contract extensions. That's why we got an extra year in Nagy and Pace.
Oh my God. That's why you won't fire Donovan.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like there was absolutely no reason to do that. But yeah, he's been skating through this very mediocre, now bad basketball team for far too long. He's been getting no flack for the most part. It's his job to make sure Levine and DeRozan and that whole shit works. Deep down, Levine, how do I say this? I think it bothers Levine a little bit that DeMar is the guy in the fourth. He's running the show. And it's almost like Levine is trying to prove himself and get his shots up the first three quarters because he knows in the fourth that it's not his show anymore, especially if the game is going to be tight. Now, I don't think Zach is playing any more differently than he has his entire career in Chicago. Do you feel like he's playing differently? He's
just not making the shots.
Yeah, like he's not being any more selfish than he has been.
But when you're not putting up 30, all the other shit, like again, not covering on screens or whatever it is, leaving Vooch out to dry on defensive rotations, and some of the other issues that he has are magnified when you're not dropping 30 efficiently.
Could it be that Dragic kind of brought that extra vet in too? Especially coming from like Miami, and he's looking around like,
what the fuck is this?
What is this?
What is this? Yeah, this isn't right. And he's a guy that's going to speak up because he has the weight to do so, right? And I'm sure DeMar is a real cool, even-keeled type dude. Dragic doesn't strike me that way. He's always been kind of a more fiery guy. Yeah. So Dragic might come in there, and now DeMar is like, cool, I got a guy in here with me who's looking at this and knows that it ain't right. And we're both. Dragic was very candid in the interview post game the other day after the loss to the T-Wolves. Like very straightforward. When you're saying guys aren't playing together, we're not playing for guys who are worried about how much they're scoring, all that stuff. Like, look, that's straightforward to the point, and it can only come down to two people that you're talking about because the Bulls shot only two people get the shots. Right, everybody else is left clawing for whatever's left after that. But it's between Zach and DeMar, and I don't think anyone really looks at DeMar as a selfish player because he shoots 52% from the field. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
And picks his spots and doesn't. It's not like he's. But yeah, with Zach, I think he is pressing. I think he is forcing. And so one quote in the article stuck out to me, right? And again, whenever you start talking about how things aren't weighing on you, that means they're weighing on you. So Zach signs the new deal in the offseason. Look, we are human beings. There is pressure involved in situations. You cannot tell me that you signed for $240 million or 200 whatever million dollars and you don't feel any added pressure. Any human being does, right? It's about how you respond to it, how you deal with it. So when a quote like this came out in the article, that's how I knew that mentally this shit is weighing on Zach. He goes, it hasn't weighed on anything for me. I don't understand how that gets put into context. Just because you sign a deal, it's supposed to be added weight to it. I don't think there's added. I think there's added weight each time you step on the court if you don't perform or you don't play the right way. But everybody's open to their own opinion. Come on, bro. Like, it's no different. It's no different. It's just the same as it was. No, it wasn't, man. You feel pressure. Obviously, you feel more pressure to deliver, to be the number one, to be the franchise guy like you're being paid to be. And that's okay. That's okay. What does Steven Jackson say? You got to make love to the pressure, embrace the pressure. If you treat pressure like it's something that's not there, it is going to eat you up.
Yeah,
if you look at it every single day and say, yes, it's there, how am I going to overcome this? It's here regardless. Then yeah, I mean, the right thing is to say, yeah, there's some pressure, absolutely, and we're not playing well, and that's on me. But to sit here and act like it's not a thing and it's just the same as every other time where you go on the court, and to go as far as to say, I don't understand how that gets put into context. Come on, man. You clearly understand how signing a $200 million contract and then it's more pressure being added on to you is put into context. So, like, when I saw that, I called bullshit.
Yeah, I mean,
that shit's weighing on him 100%.
The guys that came out apparently and really drove the conversation were Dragic, Vucevic, and then it's Caruso.
Yeah.
Now, I thought that this was interesting that I haven't heard anybody bring up. But Vucevic and Dragic are going to have a little bit of a different relationship because they come from the same region of the world.
They got the itch.
They got the itch on them. They got the Vucevic and the Dragic, right? They come from the Baltic area of the world. So they automatically have a little closer relationship, right?
Shout out the Baltics.
And then Caruso, yeah, shout out the Baltics. Great people, man. Seriously. You want to talk about some fun, great people. The Baltic people are very much that.
Yep.
And then you got Caruso, a guy who makes his bread, feeds his family on playing defense, and he sees this guy Levine just not interested in it at all. So that didn't surprise me when it was those three guys. You got Dragic and Vucevic who will team up, and Dragic is just interested in winning. And then Vucevic, if you've been watching him all year, he has been trying. He doesn't have it on the defensive end, but he's been trying a lot harder than he was in previous years, possession to possession for me.
I never thought he didn't try. I just think he just can't move his feet.
He just
well
can't
enough
move.
To play.
Yeah.
He's just not lateral at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like he's just Go ahead.
Yeah, it could. That could get confused as the same thing
out there.
Yeah,
some guys just can't. Like, yeah, I just feel like he's just not
can't move.
His body is just not built to play defense in the NBA. But go ahead.
So yeah, I think it was interesting. It was those three guys because I agree with you 100% on DeRozan. He's just kind of like, yeah, we'll turn it around. Like he's chilling. He's not really chilling, bro. He's not going to be the guy calling big meetings. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, but I think more than anything, this falls at Billy Donovan. He does not get enough flack across the board for what's going on with the Bulls in that situation. They just aren't very good. We know Lonzo Ball is a massive, massive miss right now for the Bulls. I think that clears up a lot of this. I think they're a lot better basketball team across the board. We probably don't even hear about this if Lonzo Ball's out there running around. But Zach's got to.
Have we gotten almost? I was talking about this with Eder the other day. And have we rotated too hard on the Lonzo Ball cures what ails us thing? Like, because
I don't think so. Do you remember what the team looked like when he was playing?
Absolutely. And I think so, he ties together what we want to do on both ends of the floor. It's not an offensive thing. It's not a defensive thing. He gets us into transition on offense, and on defense, he guards 1 through 4 for sure. But it's just like, it's almost like now it's almost become a built-in excuse. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh,
we don't have a point guard.
Yeah.
You need a point guard.
I
mean, it's a built-in excuse, but it's also factual. We don't have a PG running the show.
Have we put too much on IO?
Name me a good team in the NBA that doesn't have a point guard.
Yeah.
Like what? So no, I think that's a very valid excuse. You saw the product on and off the floor. No, man. Lonzo missing is a massive deal. And I'm telling you this, I don't think he's coming back anytime soon.
No, he's not coming back. He's never been coming back.
That shit is over with.
That knee is bad.
Yeah. The no timetable thing, it's not good.
And it's just been a mystery. We know what's happened. We don't know what's happened. He's going. Anytime you got to keep, it's like team meetings. You got to keep doing them. Something's not right. Anytime you got to keep going back under to figure out what's going on with that knee. And mind you, this is some of the best doctors in the world, right? These are top-notch sports science doctors that cannot figure out what's going on with this man's knee. Cannot give us a timetable for when he's supposed to return. We're coming up on a year now that he's been out with no significant progress. We don't see him in warmups. You don't see him working with the team. He's out, man. That knee is bad. It's a shame too, because I love Zoe. Like, I think Zoe's a great player. Remember when the draft happened? I was Mr. Zoe. I said Zoe should have been number 1 that year.
UCLA Zoe?
My one was Zoe, Tatum, and I always say I was on Tatum. You know it. I was on Tatum pre-Tatum. and Markelle Fultz. I've been on Tatum.
Yeah, you
go
have
back,
been.
check the tape. I've been on
Check
Tatum.
the tape. All right, let's move off this so we can talk about the NFL for a quick 15. Give me a quick 90 seconds on the Knicks right now. Eight in a row.
Hey man,
The big conversation was Jalen Brunson. They overpaid. He's not $100 million
y'all don't know,
man.
we're obliged to talk about the Knicks now.
That boy Jalen Brunson is an absolute bucket.
Yeah,
he has the offensive bag is very extensive. He's very efficient from the 3-point line.
You know what I'll say about the Knicks?
Yeah.
A lot of coaches don't have the heart to do what Tibbs did.
With what part?
Tibbs benched Fournier at $20 million a year.
DMP'd him.
Straight up. Remember I asked you if I'm like, is Fournier just DMP? Like, not hurt. He's available.
No, he just flat out put.
I'm not watching this.
Put him on a spaceship, never to be heard from again.
Not watching this. Bench D Rose, who, if you read D Rose's article in the Athletic the other day, D Rose understood it, right? But like, bench this guy D Rose, like, hey, we need to get these young guys playing. Turn it over to quickly. What's the guy's name?
Quentin Grimes.
Miles or something like that.
Oh, yeah, Miles Leonard?
No.
No, that's not right. Hold on. Miles Leonard.
Miles Leonard. Oh, my God.
Miles Leonard. Shout out Miles Leonard.
Yeah, I guess.
Or don't shout out Miles Leonard.
Don't shout out Miles Leonard, man. He had some issues.
McBride, you're talking about. Miles McBride.
Yeah, Miles McBride, different young guys like that.
Jericho Sims.
Yeah. Turn it over to the young, Tibbs, right? And we talk about this with Tibbs. He doesn't give a fuck what the name on the jersey is, how much you're getting paid. If you're not doing it the way that he wants it done, or he feels there's a better way, he's going to make those changes. Since he's made those changes, this team has been rolling. We were talking a couple weeks ago. I thought this was one of those rudderless teams in the NBA. Where are they going, right? They need to blow this up. This roster doesn't make sense. They got hot a couple years ago, and it seems like they've been skating off that. They've completely turned it around, man. Winners of 8 straight. They look like they have an identity. Guys are playing hard, and Tibbs got them rolling in the right direction. Do I think that they're going to make a ton of noise? No. But look, man, if they continue to play like this, they continue to play like this, they'll be a tough out.
Hey, man, Quentin Grimes is a real player. I'm gonna tell you right now. He plays defense. He can shoot it. Remember the rumblings where Quentin Grimes was Mr. Untouchable when they were trying to make that Donovan Mitchell. There's like, oh, y'all want Quentin Grimes?
Can't have Quentin Grimes. Yeah,
that boy, Mr. Untouchable. You can't have him. He's a part of no trade talks. Quentin Grimes. There was a big rumble in that the only thing holding up Donovan Mitchell was Quentin Grimes. Yeah. They wanted Quentin Grimes. They wouldn't give him up, right? He has shown in the last 2 weeks when he's been playing 25, 30 minutes a night that he is a real problem. Can shoot it from 3. He's been playing really, really good basketball. Hustles, plays D. He's been matching up with the best player, the best guard on the opposing team night in, night out, because we know RJ Barrett is not – he'd rather not deal with that. Quentin Grimes welcomes –
That's what he's here for.
Quentin Grimes welcomes that. And is shooting the 3. So shout out the Knicks right now, 8 straight. I'm excited to see what they do tonight on a back-to-back.
Yep.
Because we know how that goes. And then do they continue to they continue to get undervalued in the market. They've covered 8 straight, something like that. Yeah. I think they've covered like 7-0-1. They pushed the game. They continue to get undervalued because people are like, are they just going to keep coming in here and busting heads every single night? And that's exactly what they've been doing.
Knicks fans start driving up that price a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, right now they're like a -1, 1.5 against the Raptors tonight. Then they're going to play what do you make the line against the Bulls on Friday? They just blew them out twice. Now it's in the Garden.
Yeah.
And the Bulls are in shambles. What's the number, 6?
Yeah. I like it.
Do you know what I'm saying? So it's tough. So right now they look good. All right, let me give you
real quick. Give me 30 seconds, real quick. You did mention the Raptors. I just want to say this: losers of 6 straight, clearly a blow it up team with a lot of interesting assets.
I think so.
But yeah,
the Bulls and Raptors are an interesting team that are in blow it up spots with a lot of
guys that you would take.
Yeah.
So with the Raptors, obviously it starts with Siakam and Van Vliet, right? I think you keep Scotty Barnes obviously and just build around him. They're fine. Messiah's gonna. Hey, look, Messiah will be fine. Fred, where do you think the Fred Van Vliet team is? So we talked about teams with no point guards, right? So is it a
fucking Los Angeles
Lakers?
Yeah,
are they still trying to make move? Can we just
that would be that'd be fun, but oh my God, man, that's interesting.
Like you talk about the no point guard, Brooklyn.
Yeah, it'd be great in Brooklyn.
He played great with Kyrie, I feel like.
Who else? Let me see. Who would Fred go to? How about putting Fred on
New Orleans?
Hey. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that'd be great, obviously.
He's such a gamer. I feel like he could slot in the Clippers.
That's the Clippers.
The Clippers
are
it. The Clippers are
the Clippers would be great.
The Clippers are it. If I'm the Clippers, I'm on the phone with Toronto for Fred VanVleet. What a perfect fit.
Give up Reggie and a bunch of picks.
What at Norm? Said Norm back north or whatever.
Man, shout out. I ain't never moving Norm, man. I ain't never moving my boy Norm, man. Yeah. Norm basket.
I think that's a very interesting situation to keep track of because, again, Masai's one of the smarter GMs in the league, and he seems like a guy where if he knows it's not going in his direction, he's going to blow it up. Remember, this guy did trade DeMar DeRozan for 1 year of Kawhi Leonard, so whereas the Bulls might be a little bit more hesitant to blow it up. I do think the Raptors, as soon as he's like, yeah, this isn't working, he's going to get off those guys.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of talent there. Boucher, there's a lot of
guys. New Orleans, yeah, him in New Orleans would be interesting. But then I don't know. That's a lot of guards back there. I don't know, but
it's a lead guard situation. I think is best for him.
Yeah, it's interesting because Siakam has been going berserk.
And Siakam's a good player, and Siakam has shown you he can be the third best player on a championship team.
Yeah, he's been going crazy too. So yeah, that's an interesting spot. All right, let's talk about the NFL awards really quick because big news yesterday comes out. Jalen Hurts has a shoulder injury from Chicago, cold turf, got landed on, shoulder was banged up a little bit. He was the MVP leader at -145 going into the week. It's announced that he's out. It flips to Pat Mahomes -350. Josh Allen +500, Joe Burrow +550, then Hurts at +650. Now there's reports that he may play against the Cowboys. It was a big game in the MVP talk. What do you think about the price flip? Right now, was Jalen Hurts your MVP even if he wasn't going to play, or is it Mahomes? Because
it's Mahomes for me.
Yeah, talk to me. Why?
Well, I think number one, as far as I think if they're almost waiting for Hurts to have a bad game so they can kill those odds. Like I feel like it's been like you want to talk about it's been on a fine line all year for Hurts. So they're waiting for.
They don't want to give it to. They don't want to give it to Hurts.
They don't want to give it to Hurts. You talk. Listen, man. I think you're big on this too. You start listening to what the national media is talking about around that time, and right now we were at that time. We did it last year with the NBA MVP. Remember?
Yeah.
It's like, man, there's a lot of Jokic talk happening. There's a lot of Jokic talk happening. I think Jokic is going to win the MVP. There's a lot of Mahomes talk happening. The momentum is behind Mahomes right now, right? The story is behind Mahomes. I just don't think they want to give it to Jalen Hurts. If he keeps playing, absolutely. I think that may be the only reason he is going to play this weekend because he does not want to lose his MVP momentum because don't let him not play and Mahomes go off and that thing is over with at that point in time. Now, you could have the flip side where last year you have your Tom Brady situation and the last week he loses it to Aaron Rodgers, which I don't need to remind you about. Yeah. But to me, it's Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes is absolutely balling. Mahomes, I believe, is playing with and I'm not trying to sound like Michael Parsons.
More total touchdowns, the whole thing.
Yeah, and he loses his best target in the offseason and keeps humming. So I got Mahomes. And that's nothing against Hurts. If Hurts got it, I'm happy with it too.
The reason Hurts
looked bad against the Bears on Sunday, though. I will say that. They had him puzzled.
The reason I will say that this is what I mean when I say they don't want him to win the MVP, Jalen Hurts. Micah Parsons, what he said about Jalen Hurts, I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of people in the media think that.
Absolutely.
They don't have the heart to say it because you saw what happened to Parsons. A lot of people feel like Jalen Hurts is good and is taking a leap, but I don't know about. I think we could slide a couple people in this situation. They may not be as good, but they could be a really, really good football team with a lot of different quarterbacks. I'm not sure I agree with that.
I don't.
They have a ton of talent on that roster. I think he's getting flack for that. But I know for a fact from talking to people and just hearing it that a lot of people think like Micah Parsons is thinking. They won't say it, but that's why they're starting to look at Mahomes. And also, the narrative, too, is starting to flip that we're taking Patrick Mahomes for granted. Patrick Mahomes he's the best quarterback in the league, but So then, okay, why isn't he winning MVP then? He has more combined touchdowns. He's on pace to throw for 5,500 yards. He lost his best target. So then why isn't he the MVP then? And then people are starting to be like, whoa, it's actually a good point. Maybe he should be the MVP.
Yeah.
And as soon as I've never seen news come out that a guy is not going to play, he goes from a favorite to plus 600, and the dude behind him goes all the way up to minus 350. Now, it tells me that maybe Hurts is going to miss multiple weeks, but now we're hearing that he may play. So it's a really interesting situation. I think they're going to end up giving it to Mahomes. And I also think if you want to get some early money before this shifts in a major way as well, I think they're going to give the DPOY to Nick Bosa.
Yeah.
Michael Parsons is having a great year. But the narrative around the narrative thing, which is a big piece for me for all these awards, is the Niners is the best defense we've seen in 4 or 5 years. And guess who's the engine of that defense? It's Nick Bosa.
And guess what team appears to be falling apart right now? The Dallas Cowboys.
Exactly.
And I think another big thing with the Parsons started off so hot. I don't think he can replicate the success he had in the first 6-7 games of the year. It's just not sustainable.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think his momentum was very, very early on. But like you said, Bosa is now picking up that momentum. Because when you look at the Niners, and if they keep winning ball games, to your point, the narrative is it already is. It's because of that defense, right?
Yeah.
So
and
you're going to pick out.
And he's the engine of the defense.
Yeah, and you're going to pick out the best player on that defense, and you're going to say, yeah, that's the defensive player of the year. If we take him off this team, you know that they're not as
impactful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think another thing with the Hurts is Hurts was never supposed to be part of the story this year. So it's hard to kind of force him into that conversation. It's supposed to be Josh Allen's MVP. The last 2 years it's supposed to be Josh Allen's MVP. And they've kind of had to shift it, but it's not shifting towards Jalen Hurts. It's not going to happen. He would have to have like a Lamar type year, like that year. That Lamar
if he went to Dallas and was healthy and went crazy, he was going to win MVP because they were going to lock up number 1 seed.
So is he for sure? Have they announced out or in yet?
It's up in the air.
Minshew magic.
Seems like.
Hey, and also don't let Minshew have a good game either. Don't let Minshew have a good game either.
I was just fucking around and talking about this. And really quick, let me close this thought out on Bosa, and then I'll get back to Hurts. Bosa has more sacks, more quarterback hits. I mean, the numbers are even better than Micah, and then the narrative is leaning that way. I think Bosa should be like -2, 220, and he's right now, I think he's -140, 130, something like that. I think you can get a good price right now on Joey Bosa. This is going to be the best price you can get. To close out Jalen Hurts,
that's 15 and a half sacks already.
15 and a half sacks, like, yeah, it's yeah. So I was talking about this as well yesterday. Say Hurts doesn't play. And this sounds outrageous, but I'm telling you, this is just how fickle a lot of these sports fans and football fans are. Minshew could come in and win 3 straight, and there'd be people saying, we should stay with him in the playoffs. Why are we switching back to Hurts? Yep. He's got the team rolling. Like, that's how fickle this shit can really get.
Would you blame a Philadelphia fan for saying that? Because Philly's been in the same situation before. Last time they won the Super Bowl, they had an MVP candidate that went down. They stayed with the hot hand, and they won the Super Bowl. So I'd almost be like, hey, this just might be how we do it. But that is what an interesting parallel, too.
We were just talking about don't get Drew Bledsoe.
Yeah, I don't think Gardner Minshew is Nick Foles, but you know what? Gardner Minshew played some solid football in Jacksonville.
Yeah, he could be fine.
He'll be it's another one of those guys that'll be around forever, make a lot of money as a career back.
The Eagles need one more win to lock up the number 1 in the NFC. I think they just have to win one of the last 3. So that's also where it's like, why rush Jalen back? But Jalen's also like, man, I've been rolling. I want to continue to keep rolling. So keep an eye on that.
And before we get out of here, just also remember what I told you about the Cowboys. I told you about these boys. I told you this is the most sus team in the history of the NFL. They are suspect. Will not win a playoff game. Mike McCarthy's there. You already know the deal. This thing is unraveling before our eyes. Trust me. Go back and watch some of the things they did in that game. It was a Mike McCarthy special. On 3rd down, Mike McCarthy, it was 3rd and 10 in the 4th quarter.
It's a classic.
And Mike McCarthy sent 3 guys on vertical routes.
Yeah, that's on Kellen.
I mean, whatever.
Kellen Moore, but
signed off on that joint. I don't give a damn.
The whole thing. Yeah, no, they should have won that game the other night for sure.
What?
But But yeah, that's part of the narrative with the Bosa thing. I think you should get your ticket on Joey Bosa to win DPOY right now. It's not going to get any better than
because
that.
the Cowboys are going to lose a bunch of games.
Yes, sir. But all right, we're out of here. No Catch Up Sports Talk via Chicago. For Big Nick the Quick, Nick Harvey, I'm your host, Sean Little. Make sure you subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, send the episode around. You already know how we get down. We love just coming on here and chopping it up with you guys. Appreciate everyone. No Catch Up Sports Talk via Chicago. We'll see y'all next week.